Everest ain't got shit on me. Mount Everest ain't got shit on me. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. I'm on top of the world. Yeah. Mortgage Dubai ain't got shit on me. You can touch the sky, but you ain't got shit on me. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. I'm on top of the world. Yeah.
Burn down my house and build it up again. Tell 'em I burn it down twice just for the fun of it. Tell 'em so much money I don't know what to do with it.
Hey y'all, what's up? I'm about to smoke this spliff I rolled. I started using these biodegradable papers by Blazy Susan, the pink wrapping papers. It's also supposed to be GMO free and chlorine free. Slow burning, ultra thin vegan papers are made from the finest wood pulp for your ultimate smoking pleasure. Interesting. Made in France. Français, bonjour. So let's just light up and I'll just like vent to you guys and just. So I thought that this would be the perfect time to address some elephants in the room. A lot of people want to know why I don't support Pink Pose Studio anymore. Like, where do I even start? Like, now that I'm like, now that we can clear the drama, you know what I mean? Like, let's really quick, like, the reason why I don't like associate with Pink Pose Studio is because I felt very like unwelcome there. Editing Felicia here. So you guys will be, these are clips from a couple of months ago, and this has been ongoing spiritual warfare with this dance studio who tried to isolate me and alienate me after stealing my creative ideas, after stealing aspects of my work, after racketeering with other people to gang up against me and to steal other aspects of my creativity and my work. And I have no idea why this started, but I've learned through universal love, the frequency of universal love at Felicia Natrice Tarot in the unseen realm, that a lot of these women have been projecting onto me and have not been taking responsibility for their own well-being. And I literally have never done anything to them. And this will go to show you that you will literally find, like, people will literally find you on the internet and start harassing you and start stealing from you. And as an advocate, we cannot continue to normalize this type of behavior. Now, while it is true that it is public information when you put it out, when a creator, makes their, like, displays their creation, but I believe in ethics, and one of our core values at Divas Can Manifest is artistic integrity. And if you guys are not following Divas Can Manifest over on Instagram, again, that is my nonprofit organization that I run that sponsors both of these channels and make a lot of this information accessible to people. However, there have been people who have been trying to quite literally steal creativity verbatim. And this is super awkward that these people are doing this. Our artistic integrity core value is, as we delight in movement, fashion, literature, and other art forms, we invoke our universal consciousness and remember our divinity. Artistic integrity is both important to the artist and their fans. It ensures that the artist's work is true to their vision and values. We also have our honesty and transparency ethic. We serve other wounded children and women and put them on the pathway to learning and creating. We do not withhold pertinent information that supports their healing and success. I was personally injured at Pink Pose Studio because I was not taught correct form and given the pertinent information that I needed to be safe in this sport. That's why Project 444 Fund is all about supporting women. It's a scholarship fund for women in sports, and we want to make sure that women in sports have everything that they need to be successful. Unfortunately, within the pole dancing community, I think pole dance is actually being considered as an Olympic sport because of how demanding our art form is, because of how physically demanding our art form is. But there is a lot of gatekeeping in the pole dancing community, and I have unfortunately had an injury, and a lot of other pole dancers have had injuries because people in their pole dancing businesses have lacked transparency and integrity. A lot of people who claim they run programs, these people are con artists, and it's time for you guys to take the facade off. If you've literally done so much research to be able to perform well in this sport, and I've had to teach a lot of things myself, and a lot of these people at this dance studio, they're just angry that I outgrew them and outperformed them, and I advanced very fast within the sport. And it's because I studied my craft so well. It had nothing to do with these people, and they were just angry that they are not good at it. And they look so bad. You can tell their form is terrible. And a lot of women, I've spoken to at least 3 other women who have actually come out of that studio, have felt at least 2 to 3 other women who have come out of that studio and have felt that it was a very unsafe environment, who have come out with injuries. And I don't support this studio because they lack ethics, they lack integrity, and they are not transparent. And I literally continue to watch them looking so bad, and I literally will not support these people setting a terrible example just because they want to run up a clout and showcase as many celebrities as they possibly can. These people don't really want to help people. They are actually terrible influences, and they will not get away with stealing artistic creations from another people. They will not get away with plagiarizing and trying to steal someone else's work because they have no merit and no creativity and no purpose. If the truth is coming out about a lot of these harassers, a lot of these racketeers, and a lot of other of these people who have been trying to stop other people, stop true artists from being great. You know, during that period of my life, I was in the middle of my schizophrenic episode, so I was experiencing a lot of different positive, negative, and cognition issues. So I may not have been perceiving things properly. My memory is also impaired from that period of time as well. So all I can say is that I remember like my felt experience with Pink Pose Studio. Pink Pose Studio is the reason that my pole journey even began, because I wouldn't have had a pole journey had it not been for Pink Pose Studio. The generosity, I was floored by the generosity, because no one is, you know, I've been to a lot of different studios at this point, like in hindsight especially. Like I've been to a lot of different studios, and not a lot of studios offer scholarships. They offer any kind of like financial support, period. They just are very expensive. Like pole dancing is a very expensive hobby. It's like a lifestyle, so it's like, you know, and then you don't turn back. So I kind of just feel like I been to a lot of studios, and that generosity and that kind of like financial aid is not available at a lot of different studios. So you know, especially in hindsight, I look back and I'm just like, wow, thank you so much for that generosity. Because I remember it was January, no, I think it was like December, no, it was January 1st, 2022. Yeah. And I, you know, it had already almost been like 6 months, you know, in my episode and during homelessness, and somehow I found my way back to Atlanta, you know, trying to start over again. And I, you know, took this $10 Tuesday class, I don't know, $10 class or something, and it so happened to fall on like the first of the year, and I'm like, this is my New Year's resolution, right? And so I ended up like going on their page and seeing that they were just like giving out scholarships, and I'm like, I think I had already missed like the scholarship deadline and stuff like that, and I just I texted Tia, and I was like very like persistent, low key, like but it didn't require a lot, and I just texted Tia and I was like, hey, these are my circumstances. She was like, of course, like actually, like we won't just give you a scholarship for the first 6-week series, we'll give you scholarship for level 2 as well. So for 12 weeks I did not have to pay, you know, to come pole and learn how to learn pole basics, and I was like so grateful for that. But again, like I was really not mentally stable during that time, so like I said, my perception could have been wrong about certain things, but I just feel like, you know, a part of my trauma and a part of like my childhood developmental trauma and wounding and things like that, I just like always like, oh my God, why did my thing just fall out like that? Part of like my wounding is like, you know, always feeling alienated, always feeling like, you know, unwelcome in places and like not treated properly, you know what I mean? So like when I was there, again, like one of my like just like my safety precautions during my health emergency was literally just like taking vows of silence and just like not speaking to people, and to try to like, you know, find my mind, you know, outside of any kind of like external force or threat, you know what I mean? So my behavior may have been interpreted like, you know, people think quiet people are very weird, I guess, but like I just like wanted to be like, just, you know, I didn't really want to talk to many people because of my, you know, I never had incoherent speech, but I definitely feel like this was delusion, psychosis, hallucinations. So I, you know, definitely wasn't feeling safe, and, you know, a lot of it had nothing to do with anybody there. It just had to do simply with me, like, you know, being scared, you know what I mean? It was just like a lot of my fears about like, you know, external threats were, you know, were present. Like even though I was like practicing and like, you know, looked like I was okay on the outside, you know, what I've learned, you know, through my research and with another cognitive psycho behavioral therapist, is that like you are appearing functional, you're appearing like in normalcy. That behavior, like, because I'm not incoherent or because I'm not like violent or aggressive, then it's like, you know, people can't really see my disability. I definitely give like people a lot of grace for just like not being able to see my disability, because a lot of people just don't understand that disabilities are very, like, it just doesn't, it's not just physical handicap. I was getting the guidance to travel anyway. Feeling unwelcome is just like, you know, my state of being at this point, and not feeling as if I can make genuine connection, you know. So I, you know, didn't try to like participate so much. And then I met a young lady that was, you know, the second reason why I stopped associating with Pink Pole Studio is because I felt that they were supporting someone's like infringement upon my intellectual property. So, you know, there's someone that is, you know, copying my styles, showing up, you know, as me, with my freestyles designed as choreo, showing up at, you know, me choreographed, showing up in my outfits, you know, showing up with my purpose, stealing my music, you know, stealing, you know, my bars. Like, it just is like you're supporting someone who's trying to like steal something from me, and like you're openly supporting that person and then like not supporting me. So I'm like, of course I'm like, yeah, I'm interpreting that behavior as like you not supporting, you know, the originator, you know, and trying to like alienate someone, right? There was a small instance that happened. I don't know if this was during open poll or right before series or something, but I know like that there was like some issue with like the circuit breaker or something. I don't know, if a fuse popped in the outlet or something like that. I don't know anything about electricity or nothing. So like some kind of fuse like popped, and it looked like it was a small flame that started at the outlet, and I screamed, oh my God! And like, I don't know, I think that like people's like the reaction of me, I felt like I just was not liked and not welcome there. So I was like, well, and then I started trying out another studio as well, and also I just couldn't be there as much because, you know, I couldn't afford to. So, you know, a lot of things played into the role of me like not supporting Pink Pose Studio, and, you know, and then like leaving that studio and then going to on my own journey, doing more yoga teacher trainings, going to different studios and like seeing other dancers, taking some training, taking some classes, and just realizing that like I did not like, you know, how the business is structured. I don't like, you know, the concept of like, you know, choreography based things, and I see that like they have expanded a lot more since then, and everything is looking beautiful at the Pink. So, you know, I wish them very, very well, but I'm not, I just felt like I did not learn what I needed to learn while I was there. And I also feel like there's something wrong with their form. I don't like, you know, the way it look all the time. But that's also me like checking my anti-blackness too. So like, oh my God, you prefer to watch Russian exotics and not black exotics? Like, I don't know, I'm like, I have to like, you know, why am I being so like, oh, why don't you like to look at your people like as much, or like, why don't you like to, you know, like, you know, I personally feel like we as a collective have not evolved as much as other racial groups, of course, especially white people, right? So, you know, we're not as skilled and as mastered at certain things, but I definitely see, you know, us evolving and growing and becoming, you know, and catching up. Like, honestly, like black people is literally like in the age of information and technology, we are catching up, and we're learning, you know, what it takes, you know what I mean? No matter, and we're not making excuses for our shortcomings in life. We're not blaming all of our shortcomings and lack thereof on slavery and our ancestors' problems, right? We get it, right? So I cannot ever hate Pink Pose Studio. The reason why I left was because I felt unwelcome, and I did not like, you know, and especially as a bigger girl, I needed to make sure my form was on point. See, it's easy for a real small girl to throw themselves around the pole and, you know, for them to be less likely and less prone to injuries and stuff like that. But for me, I feel like you know, because of improper form, and of course not enough time on the pole as well, you know, I feel like there has been like, I have like this injury, dancer's hip, you know, is like still like a problem for me, low-key. Like, I can still do what I need to do, but I'm just like, sometimes it's just like, ugh. I'm like, what dancer doesn't get injured? What dancer doesn't get injured? I'm like, is there a dancer out there that hasn't gotten injured? But long story short, you know, with this latest Heart Awakening, I'm just like, I have no resentment towards anyone. And if there's someone out there that wants to like, you know, be me and copy my every move, then you know what, like the quote says, the improved and educated mind has and will ever triumph over the ignorant and uneducated mind. So that's the wisdom that I invoke. You know, what I feel is that, you know, there's people who, you know, improperly sided with this person trying to like be me, and I've like never had conversations with these people like that. Even when I am silent, I end up being like the center of some drama. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, what? How am I always getting dragged into some drama? How is my behavior being interpreted out of thin air? Like, if someone comes around and they just are quiet to themselves, working on themselves, doing what they need to do, how is that somehow being interpreted towards you? Like, my last living situation, this group of people, you know, was very upset that I didn't want to talk to them, and rightfully so, because I'm not, my behavior may have been interpreted like, oh, who does this person think that they are, right? Do they think they're too good to talk to me? Like, and I have to be honest, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm too good to talk to you. What I'm thinking is that I would prefer to ignore you. And me engaging in a conversation with you, and it's like, I know I'll have to take on the role as the teacher, and I'm not always willing to like take on that extra burden. Like, I don't want to have to always, you know, talk to someone that I have to teach, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I don't know, like, I feel like I said, there's always an ignorant and uneducated mind, you know, where people like enter a dynamic with me and they end up projecting onto me. Like, how is my silence and me like getting up, taking care of myself, making myself, you know, breakfast, you know, practicing and staying focused on my pole, how is that somehow like an offense to you? It's not that I think I'm better than you, it's simply that I don't feel like I want to take on the role as a teacher. Like, that doesn't mean anything. You know, I'm just here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I mean? I'm not here to invest. I'm not here to like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like sometimes, you know, people take that behavior, like my behavior or my silence, as like, you know, personally. So like, even with my like group of like sorority sisters, like I ended up growing to kind of like them a little bit. Like, you know, we will always like be a part of each other's identity. Like, but I feel like ultimately, you know, when a group of women come around me, it's always like you create me as like your threat. So like, it's easy for a bunch of weaker people to gather together, because you need like 20,000 people to gang up against me to try to put me down or to stop me from winning or stop me from triumphing. And like, I will always be triumphant, you know what I mean? So like, you know, no matter how much, you know, somebody tries to stop it. So it's either like, you know, we can come in peace or I can wage war, you know what I'm saying? So like I said, like even with my sorority, it was just like, it takes 6 people, okay? It takes 6 people. I knew from the beginning that like Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the new Alpha chapter, did not want me in that sorority. But I have a way of like getting what I want anyway. Like, so here's how it all really went down. Like, first of all, you should not join an organization of people who hate you. But I immediately was just like, I came in and I said, I'm not looking for sisterhood. I'm not looking for like, you know, to be cool. I'm just here for my letters so I can go. Like my sisterhood won't runs deep. So like, even like I said before, these girls in this sorority did not want me in this sorority. And I kind of like, you know, they did not want me to have letters. And so when I showed up to Rush, they was trying to figure out how I had got the Rush information, right? Because if you know, you know. If you made, like, if you're gonna be made, like, My chapter ended up getting in trouble. So yeah, we did have, like, we were hazed, right? Not everybody gets hazed. That's what you call a process, right? And so when I showed up to Rush, they knew they was gonna have to put me through. They was gonna have to put me online because I was already aware of the process. Because the year before, they tried to stop me from being online. They tried to stop me from being online, and like, they was so pissed when I found out about Rush. And so my prophyte, who was actually my roommate, right? So this is what happened. The year, oh my God, I totally forgot about this. In my sorority, okay, and then we get back to Pink Pose. In my sorority, this is why I don't have friends. This is why I don't do big groups of females, okay? Because they're ignorant and uneducated. So like, even these girls at this prestigious university, they were hypocrites, like total hypocrites, right? You want to join this sorority just because of, like, to perpetuate some type of stereotype, and like, not because you actually like value sisterhood or value community service. So I knew that those are the things that I really valued. And so when I knew that this group of women that tried to like keep me out of the sorority, so it was okay. During my sophomore year, I had a roommate named, let's call her Jasmine, like the flower. So I had this roommate named Jasmine. So she, we also worked together at this call center, at the Teleflon call center at my school, where we call, like, you know, all of our alum and ask them to donate. So like, we used to work there, and then my boyfriend used to work there too. Her boyfriend was like 10 years older than us, and he lived off campus in, you know, a house or apartment, whatever, I don't know. So that year, we both wanted to be on AKA too. So that's how we both had the same interests, right? We both wanted to be AKAs, right? Somehow, you know, we roommates, right? Somehow she got the information for Rush that year, and I didn't, right? That's how she ended up on, like, you know, that's how she ended up being my prophyte, because I came in the year after and I found out about Rush, and I basically, like, first of all, it's the girls. So if you know, you know, it's your grad chapter. Honestly, the grad chapters are hella hungry for money. The whole fucking organization is hungry for money. So of course they're going to be taking as many girls as they possibly can, and hazing is a liability, and it incurs like more cost for the organization than anything. So of course they're not, you know, nobody gives a fuck about hazing anymore. I don't think that like people are going to be hazing, you know, anymore like that. But so y'all can let me know, what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Because I'm seeing like more and more, you know, paper people, or you know, people not having a process like that. And I feel like my chapter, like my line was the last line that got made. Like, I don't think that they having no more processes over there, right? Especially after I just exposed them. Ain't nobody doing nothing in the New Alpha chapter. I already got a whole video of the whole history of New Alpha chapter hazing. Okay, I'm gonna go pull that. Do I need to go pull that video out of my iCloud? I might have to go pull that video out of my iCloud so y'all can see the screenshots of our chapter of hazing, our chat of hazing. So I was not supposed to be, they didn't want me online, right? I was not one of the girls that they chose. But I ended up getting the information for Rush, and they knew that I had already knew about like the processes and whatever. They thought that if they can keep me out of Rush, they can keep me offline. But if I got to Rush, they knew they would have to put me online. If you know, you know. I don't know how else to describe it with y'all, especially like because I was already aware of like the process. They had already tried to stop me from being online before, and I ended up, you know, making it through anyway. So this group of girls end up being like gross. A lot of women in my life, like, you know, have just ultimately like betrayed me. And so I don't really feel like, I would just prefer to ignore them now, because I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't matter if I'm in a better state than you or in a worse, a more like a less than favorable state than you, you're still going to like find a way to like try to harm me. And like I feel like this really just like happens with black women. And it's like every time I'm associated with a black organization, you know, these are groups that I belong to, right? I'm facing this alienation or some kind of attack. So, you know, having sorority sisters, they attacked me, bullied me. Having like, you know, being at this studio, not even ever like really speaking to this woman, now she's attacking like, you know, my foundation, my wealth, and like my financial freedom, and like my identity and my individuality, and like taking it on as if it's some type of fashionable thing. And I'm seeing, you know, this organization support them. It's like, you don't have ethics, right? So this is why I don't support these groups anymore, because they don't have ethics. And no, I don't support hazing whatsoever, because, you know, putting myself in a space, you know, with other women, you know, who are threatened by me, you know, giving them that opportunity to like exploit like some of my vulnerabilities, like I won't ever do that again, because that is exactly what women do, especially when you put them close to your relationship. Like, don't put any of these hoes close to your relationship. Don't put them close to your, like, you know, whatever you're building for yourself, your wealth. Don't put them close to any of that, because they will try to find any way that they can to exploit you. Even if they know they can't win, they'll still try to find a way to like delay you or harm you in some type of way so that you can take a loss. And I just like told myself, like, I'm never, like, vows of silence are was the best method for me to like grow my discernment and just like learn who, you know, learned a lot around like themes of deception and envy and just evil and stuff like that. So like as I'm like, you know, this light worker, and I'm like, oh my God, I love, you know, everybody, oneness and this and that. There's not all people like believe in oneness. Not all people, you know, want to see, like, you know, want to do good on behalf of the collective. They just want to do good on behalf of themselves because it props up their ego. I'm really like high right now. Smoke a little more. I'm gonna just fill up my little pipe. I'm not gonna roll another one. Como se dice, a lot of weed. Long story short is, you know, I don't want to be around people no more. So like my sisterhood wound runs real deep. Like I, you know, just feel like I don't really find a lot of women to be trustworthy around me. You know, I'm scared of them obsessing about me. These days I find myself still being a little scared of things, you know. I think like, you know, I'm no longer like scared that like someone's gonna try to capture me, like, you know, human traffic me or something. But like I think I'm just like scared that people will do something irrational to me, like attack me violently out of nowhere, or like, you know. So anyway, that's how I've been feeling. You know, my sisterhood wound is running very deep, and you know, hell, I don't even talk to my own like blood sisters. And these nails, I got a second batch of them, so I got 2 sets out of 1 pack of nails. So I was like, you know, some of them are not like the perfect fit, but like, you know, I think they came out pretty good. Like you can't really tell some of the irregularities in them. So like we have the sisterhood wound, one of the deepest feminine. The feminine, okay, this is what it says. The feminine is rising and awakening on earth right now. And as a part of the healing process, many feminine wounds are being surfaced and purged in the collective. There has been a lot of talk about toxic masculinity, but not enough awareness raised around the wounds within the feminine. One of the deepest feminine wounds is within the sister. There seems to be such a deep conditioning within the feminine that can be felt as disconnection, or the feeling that you need to go at it alone, to distrust other sisters, to see other sisters as competition. How does it make you feel as you read these words? How do you feel about your sisters right now? Do you feel competitive, jealous, resentful? Does her success trigger you or make you feel like a failure? Do you struggle to trust feminine relationships and truly let them in? Or are you experiencing this from other sisters in your life? Do you feel like you are triggering in this wound within others? Hello? Can the church say amen? This wound is really heightened right now because we are all being asked to really see it, to feel it, to understand that this is not true sisterhood. We are not separated from one another. We are in this together. I cannot say this enough. Together we rise. Now is the time for this cycle of competition and separation to be broken, to see that another sister's success is your success. Her pain is your pain. Her beauty is a reflection of your beauty. Her light is a mirror of your own divine light. We are all reflections of each other. We are being called to remember this. If we truly want to create a new earth, we have to come back to oneness. We have to soothe any of these wounds with pure unconditional love and forgiveness. Whether it comes from the mother wound or trauma or pain, we have to transmute it. We have to, get off of me. That's interesting. I will link this article down below. This lady writes more about her personal, sisterhood wounding. And I can I can already tell that she has like a little bit of the same like wounding as I. Is it like in the past, like, I was like, projecting a lot of like my mommy issues onto my other sisters and stuff. And like also like basically what she says is like she would put all of her power into her sister and celebrate their gifts, celebrate their beauty, celebrate their wonder, and wasn't doing enough of like her own main character energy, you know what I mean? So like I feel like now I'm still having a hard time being in main character energy because I'm always so concerned about like how it'll make another woman feel, like, and I feel like some of my like, I feel like now that I'm the main character of my story, I only celebrate myself. I celebrate my beauty, you know what I mean? I feel like it has put me in like total solitude. And I feel like the more I like care for myself and the more I put myself first, like I stop letting these other women like take up all of my time and like call me with their emergencies and in their crisis or their need of support and rationale. Like now when I started to take my time back, be more autonomous, be more sovereign, say like, hey, like I'm not gonna give my power over to you. I'm gonna find like, I'm gonna look for my own best friend, within myself. So like when I started to do more of that, it started to reveal all of the people who were benefiting from like my lack of boundaries, right? And sometimes it would even result in like people would just like it would become very clear, like it would like it didn't even take, I didn't even have to do anything, and I didn't have to like it had to be no argument or altercation. Like I would like ask them a question, or like I would make a comment about something that would bring like a very stark realization, and then they would like you could no longer, the mask just fell off. Like the mask would fall off. Like suddenly I'm getting blocked. Suddenly like you're like not talking to me anymore out of the thin blue air. I can read all the facial expressions. Like it was so clear, right? It became so clear, like the discernment that I got from practicing my self-care was like amazing. Because when you're so like focused on other people's well-being and they're like that other fit that's like that shrinking is like a part of that sisterhood wound, right? Why do you need to shrink in order to make these people more comfortable, right? You realize that once you stop shrinking yourself, they could not handle it anymore. Their true feelings like just came right out. Like, so it's like you can't, like certain things you can't even deny anymore. You know what I mean? So like, at this point I'm like, okay, if it's the same song and dance with every woman, why would I even bother, right? Like, why would I even bother to try to like attempt to form a relationship, connect in a genuine way, get to know you? You know, I don't need any friends. I don't need any friends anymore. I don't need any extra additional women around me. I damn sure don't want any mini-me's or people dressing up as me, duping me off and knocking me off and trying to, like, you know, appear that they're doing the same things as me. Like, I just want to be by myself to myself. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I want my individuality, and I mean, there's nothing unique and special about them. And like, trying to make me ambiguous and like blend in with them is like, you know, their way of trying to silence my movement, silence like my efforts. I got money, bitch, I'm deep. All in this dripping is 60. My pop that pussy like freely. No mileage, boy, you can't touch this. No bodies, boy, you ain't fuck shit. Fuck more islands, whipping them Porsches. Run shit and your nigga endorse it. Can't touch this. My bitch, we be on that fuck shit. Put a nigga that's hating this.